Hello and happy Saturday from the Hill City. It's an ODAC showdown between the Lynchburg Hornets and the Washington and Lee Generals. Both of these squads come into today's affair right in the middle of the pack or towards the ladder of the pack in the ODAC standings, but coming off a win on both sides and should be a fun one today between these two squads. Joe Brennan joined alongside my good friend and partner Kyle Haney. Kyle, both of these teams really looking to get the wheels going in the right direction.
Yeah, looking for momentum, looking for traction. You're right, they're both mid-pack right now. Reason to think that they could make some moves, but it's mid going on late January now, Joe, so tournament time really is looming right around the corner. This is the time to start making moves if you're one of those mid-pack teams.
And both these squads, as we mentioned, got big-time wins. For Washington and Lee, they overcame a big deficit over EMU, a team that they went into that game thinking they could easily pick up a win. They're able to scrape one by the skin of their teeth. Nonetheless, on the other side, it's Lynchburg that had dropped 2 consecutive games and then blew out Averett on their home floor. It was a big-time win for Lynchburg when they really needed to pick up some momentum.
Yeah, Lynchburg was trying to exercise some demons from a nightmare finish there against Roanoke. So, yeah, you go down to Danville, get a blowout win over the Averett Cougars. Has to leave you with a lot of confidence if you're Lynchburg.
Both of these offenses are led by freshmen. On the Lynchburg side of things, the leading scorer, the high-flying Jamarcus Brown, coming into this game as the leading scorer with 11.9 points per game. It doesn't seem like much. That is 22nd in the ODAC. And Brown's a guy that has really continued to develop as this season has gone along.
Well, we knew he was an athlete. He was a high jump state champ. He was a 3-time district champion or a district player of the year down at Tunstall High School. So we knew about the athleticism. The rest of his game is now rounding into form. He's figuring out what is required of his skill set at the college level. And remember, he was coming off the bench early as well. So, you give him a full year of starting, and those points per game numbers are really going to jump up.
And on the other side, another first-year player, a product out of Gonzaga College High School in Arlington, Virginia. It's Connor Amorosi, the 6'5" forward. So far this season has really displayed how he can score and do so in bunches. Just a tick under 15 points per game, along with being extremely strong on the defensive glass, averaging 5.5 boards a contest.
Well, consistency scoring for Connor Amorosi as well. Double figures in 13 of the 14 that he has played in, including the last 7 in a row.
And this is a game where most of Washington and Lee's offensive production comes from their front court. And it's been the story for about the past month for Lynchburg, where that front court has just been depleted. It's been a war of attrition for Lynchburg.
Yeah, fabulous point. I mean, Lynchburg has had to deal with injuries. We've seen some people step up and step in, but certainly you make a great point. It does feel like the Hornets have been vulnerable a bit more on the interior since those stars like Jason Easton and Mason Makovic went out.
Nonetheless, let's take a look at how these two teams match up on paper with their numbers coming into today's contest. Lynchburg, they've still been a prolific offense, shooting 75.3 points per game at a very efficient clip. But for Washington and Lee, offense has really been the big struggle so far this season. Just a tick under 65 points per game. They had the second lowest field goal percentage in the ODAC and the worst point differential in the ODAC.
Yeah, and if you look at the narrative for Washington and Lee, they lost their top 3 leading scorers from last year. So that's probably something you would expect to take a hit. Now, they also lose their top 3 rebounders on that note as well. So it's I guess you could call a rebuilding phase for Washington and Lee. Doesn't mean they're not playing hard. Doesn't mean they don't have talent on the team, but certainly looking for consistent scoring options.
A well-coached bunch that's just looking to get back on track. This is a team that's made it to the ODAC tournament in 6 of their last 7 seasons, and including last year where they went to the ODAC championship.
Yeah, I mean, they had a legitimate chance to make the NCAA tournament, win the ODAC last year. We know how tough the conference is. Unless this is your first ball game, you know how tough the ODAC is. So what Washington and Lee did last year, nothing short of sensational. Lynchburg actually gave them a tough game the 2 times they met last year, but the Generals took both of those contests, so maybe revenge on the mind of the Hornets this year.
So with that being said, let's take a look at today's starting lineups. The Washington and Lee Generals in the backcourt. It'll be A.J. Thomas, the maestro, leading things alongside Bryce Breeden and Jackson Ransom. In the front court, Colin Ryan alongside Connor Amorosi. For the Hornets, it's the backcourt trio that's really started to flourish as this front court has become more and more depleted. Pearson Young, Jake Hart, Michael Gray, Faust, and Brown in the front court for Lynchburg. And when we talk about Young, Hart, and Gray, those three guys all bring you three different styles of play for this Lynchburg team.
Perfectly summed up by you about their unique qualities. I just love Michael Gray's story. I mean, 4 games in, he's averaging 11 points, he's averaging 11 minutes per game. He's over 20 minutes per game now. He's scoring in double figures, 11.2 points per game. Third on the team for a guy that was maybe third, fourth, or fifth off the bench to begin the year. His rise has really been something to enjoy.
And you can see that depleted front court in that pregame tunnel. Mason Makovic at the top of your screen to the left. He is out today once again. Easton on crutches, that was at the back of that line. And Sean Valentine also lined up in street clothes today. Those are the 3 front court members for the Hornets that are gone. But you mentioned Michael Gray, and we'll talk about him a lot through this contest, but he's a guy who, during his freshman campaign, had a season high of 6 points. At the beginning of the year, started to get on a rhythm. You saw him score 10 points, reach double figures in that Ware and Wilson game, but that had a little bit of an asterisk next to it. That was the 5th highest scoring game in program history. It almost felt like everybody was in double figures. But once Pearson Young went down, Michael Gray has scored in double figures in all but one game where he scored 9 points. He's reached the 20-point mark on 3 separate occasions, and a guy that hadn't taken more than 6 shots in a game before Young went down has taken at least 12 in every game since.
He's been a fixture on the court and in the offense. And what about the stat line in the win against Avert, Joe? 17 points, 5 assists, 0 turnovers.
That's a big one.
He's not just out there throwing the ball around, he's taking care of it too.
The turnover bug and the problems at the free throw line have been the main stories for Lynchburg's struggles so far this year. But as things have gone along, you've started to see it clean up a little bit more and more each game. And that's slowly started to reflect in the record book as well. We'll see our 2 impact freshmen tip things off at the center circle. Brown alongside Amorosi. The tip is up. The high-flying freshman claims possession. And Jake Hart will get things started for the Hornets. Hart takes 2 high screens, back up to Faust. Gray, he'll try it from the angle. Off the back of the rim. And the 6'5 freshman reels in the rebound. One thing that should be interesting today is see the pace of play between these two teams. These two of the slower paced squads in the conference, as here's a straightaway 3, and Faust scoops up.
Yeah, I think Lynchburg likes to run when they can, but it's got to be within the system. They're not going to ever turn it into a complete track meet, Joe, but we'll watch that pace as tonight goes on.
Another 3-point attempt from Lynchburg. Hart got a piece of it, but couldn't corral the offensive rebound. And the Generals marched the other way. You can already start to see the physical defense by Hart on the perimeter. There's certainly a case that he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the entire conference.
Yeah, foul there as Amorosi trying to barnstorm his way in. You're right. The last time we worked together, we saw Jake Hart with the closeout blocks on 3-pointers and really can put the shackles on guys even without any help. He can solo out there on the island and really be a good defender. And you're right. I think he's getting better as a defender every game, it feels like.
1.2 steals per game that leads the Hornets. He has a steal in 3 of the last 4 contests. The one outlier, the game against Roanoke, where he fouled out extremely quickly. Only played 14 minutes in that game as Faust earns a whistle. And Hart, when we say he played 14 minutes a game, in a game that really stands out. He's second on the team in minutes per game, averaging over 28 a contest.
Yeah, that was just such an interesting deal there, to your point. And I know Hillary Scott loves to give players a chance to figure it out themselves. You got 2 fouls? Okay, figure it out. You got 3? Figure it out. You got 4? Well, figure it out. And then sometimes it does burn you. There's another side to that coin as well.
First free throw is up and in. Lynchburg, a team that started extremely well, unblemished through their first 5 games here in Turner Gymnasium, but the last 2 they both dropped, granted to very quality competition. A Roanoke team by 1 point, that's receiving votes, and they played number 7 Hampton-Sydney when they were really deflated. They didn't have about 5 rotational players in that game, but kept it within 11 points as the Hornets jump out with a great bucket from Faust to tie things up.
Yeah, I like that from Faust. Take charge, use the physicality and the bounce. Watch out, steal.
Here's Young the other way. Takes the contact, looks for the reverse. Can't get the bucket, but he'll head to the line for 2.
He's smart there by Pearson Young. Angle in, shield the defender away from the basketball by just slightly maneuvering the body enough. Draw that foul. That's Pearson Young at his best. We know he can spot up and shoot threes, but I love his game when he's on the move, Joe.
And we talked a little bit about Hart being a great perimeter defender. Pearson Young as well, a guy that loves to get dirty down low and fight for rebounds, along with, I mean, he can pick your pocket or he can send it the other way. A guy that's already earned 1 ODAC Defensive Player of the Week award so far this season.
That's a fabulous observation by you. Pearson Young, is hard to find anybody that plays with more intensity and fire than him, so that would make sense that he would be able to do the dirty work, whether it's inside or outside.
I mean, he leads this team in defensive rebounds, enlisted at 6'1".
Yeah, that's good. That's great observation again.
Amorosi swings opposite side. Colin Ryan, the product out of Collegiate High School, finds Morosi. He connects on a straightaway triple.
You see right there why this first year is so well thought of, and at 6'5", he can shoot over some defenders too.
Faust at the top of the key. Trying to go over the top, miscommunication. Brown shrugs his shoulders, and his Hart turns one over. Amorosi sent the other way, but a goaltend.
Well, you have to love the effort from Jamarcus Brown, whether it was legal or not. If you don't try to block it, it's probably going in anyway, and we're going to get another look. We can see just how close that was. It looked like it hit the window first, but split-second decision.
We know Brown is a guy that can meet anybody at the mountaintop, just a tad behind right there. Pearson Young in the corner, no good. Faust fighting for the rebound, can't control it. Thomas rips it away. Here's Thomas, a dribble handoff. Amorosi right back over to him. Ryan backing down, Faust with the left hand, up and in. A tough finish. And the Generals have come out hot, 9-3. Washington and Lee out in front.
Thomas Gibson Hobbs graduated.
And we welcome you back into Wayne Prophet Court. There you see the Generals led by head coach Chris McHugh in his 8th season, 108-54 during his 7 years with the Generals. 6 ODAC tournament appearances. I mean, if you're picking from your alumni, he's a guy that's done it well.
Oh, for sure. I think he lives and breathes Washington and Lee basketball. Last time these squads met in Lynchburg, I was actually down at the table, Joe, and just to hear some of the concepts that he talks about, it's pretty next level the way he thinks about the game.
Well, he's certainly out-schemed Lynchburg here through the first 3.5 minutes. Brown turning away with the right hand, rolls off the rim. Rebound Ryan. Three-point attempt from the angle, no good. Batted around, picked up by Ransom. He can't get it to go.
Definitely some contact. Let's watch how the officials call this game. Are they going to let guys beat on each other a little bit? And it seems like early indications that they are.
Brown looking for some help. He has Faust, and Michael Gray will reset. Gray from way downtown, no good. Out of bounds, last touch by a blue jersey.
Good fight there by Faust to make a fast first step and contest that, get a piece of that. Lynchburg early 0 for 4 from outside. You would think that would need to heat up a little bit. First reinforcement off the bench for Lynchburg will be Tyler Buggs.
Thomas Fajan enters the contest for the Generals alongside Zach Duncan. Here's Buggs on the low block, bullying his way inside. Count it, and the foul.
Well, that's a bulldozer move right there from Buggs. Got to see this again. Great job giving him the shoulder. If you extend the arm, it's an offensive foul. Let's see if he just, yeah, there was a little extension right there. Washington and Lee, I'm sure, arguing that. But how about Buggs? I mean, I love the aggressiveness there. If you get called for the offensive foul, maybe you dial it back. But way to be aggressive early there. Offense off the bench for Lynchburg.
McHugh had a couple questions from our officiating crew after that call, and I don't blame him. Nonetheless, Lynchburg will take the bucket as Buggs can't convert on the free throw attempt. Nonetheless, they cut into the deficit 9-5. Ryan takes a high screen, gets this switch on Hart. Looking to go right underneath. Good protection from the perimeter to prevent the entry pass. Now Ryan's got Faust on him. Spins, baseline, finishes up and in.
That was nice. Clock winding down two. Kind of looked Faust off a little bit. Nice eye work, and then spun to the baseline, found an avenue.
Faust not somebody that can shake easily as Hart kisses it off the glass for the deuce. He's someone that has, you know, a really physical and strong stature. Really the ideal athletic big, a guy that you can get to run the floor, but also can't push around on the low block.
No, not in the least bit.
Opposite corner. Fagan found himself in trouble. Now Ransom lost the handle, out of bounds. Lynchburg retakes possession. Eli Thomas and Henderson check into this game. Alongside Cole Calloway, a late addition from the scores table.
Yeah, it looks like Jake Hart's going to be the only starter remaining out there on the floor right now for Lynchburg. So Coach Hillary Scott, this could be planned. This could be an adjustment, more energy, more activity for his squad that still trails, but it seems like Lynchburg has played better the last 2 minutes.
And Scott said earlier this year, Hart's just a guy that's so tough for me to take out. He really runs our offense. He's the orchestrator. And on the defensive end, he just adds so much intensity. Callaway deep three, ricochets off the back of the rim.
Well, Lynchburg still nothing from outside, Joe. 0 for 5.
Ryan once again trying to do the same turnstile move underneath. Now heads back to the top of the key. And a beautiful finish over the top of a Hornet.
Yeah, you can tell he's practiced that a bunch. He's got a couple of those like that tonight. Nice start for him.
Now the Generals out in his zone. This is typically where you would see Lynchburg try and attack just like that. A beautiful skip pass underneath. And Eli Thomas gets his first bucket of the day.
Yeah, ball movement out front. Eli Thomas running the baseline just like you're supposed to from that short corner. Good delivery, good finish.
Fagan, a long three. Fagan, un fuego.
Yeah, he's a very dependable piece off the bench for Washington and Lee. Loved his game last year. Fun fact, his father is the president of the Milwaukee Bucks.
How about that?
He's a basketball lifer. He's got it in the blood.
Underneath for Henderson. trying to bulldoze his way inside. Can't get the roll. Rebound Generals. Their lead has ballooned up to 7, 9-16 through the first 7 minutes and change. Here comes Ransom down the right side, back up top, straightaway three. Thomas, you bet. Lead now at double figures.
Textbook basketball offense right there. Got an overload on one side, dribble drive, and then kick back out for three.
Underneath, the shot waved off. An offensive foul on Lynchburg. And that'll take us to immediate timeout. The team that's at the bottom of the conference for field goal percentage, shooting 67% through the first 7.5 minutes.
Look what you're missing.
It really don't matter to me. I'm just happy to be here. I might go crazy.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. That's what you have here tonight. That's what you've earned here tonight. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
My name is.
And we welcome you back to Wayne Prophet Court as the Lynchburg Hornets trail the Washington and Lee Generals 19-9. The Generals have been extremely strong on the glass to kick things off, out-rebounding the Hornets 9-2 thus far. A Lynchburg team that leads the conference in rebounds a game, but right now it's really just been a story of who's making shots and who's not.
Yeah, well, Lynchburg's not, and then if you're not getting any second chances because the Generals are clearing the glass, there you go. That's why you're down 10 points if you're Lynchburg. Let's see what changes here.
Fagan underneath, Amorosi working on Henderson, spinning his way down low, can't get the bucket. Tough defense from the big fella. Hart the other way, on the baseline for Thomas. He wants Bugs underneath. They can't get it to him, and a foul awarded to Alex Finney.
Yeah, little battle going on down there. So we've seen Bugs insert himself. One time he got the and one. Second time he was called for the offensive foul. And then this one's off the ball, just trying to gain a little bit of position.
3 fouls to each side thus far. Hart takes the screen from Bugs. Corkscrewing his way inside and an air ball off the layup.
Well, and another one and done as well, which is tough to rebound on an air ball.
Fagan in the corner, money! Perfect from beyond the arc thus far. A spark plug off the bench.
Yeah, absolutely. Great setup in the corner. He's a guy who can really fill it up.
Callaway, the response, no good, and the struggles from deep continue for Lynchburg. 0 for 6 from the perimeter thus far.
Yeah, meanwhile, Washington and Lee 3 for 5 from distance.
Amorosi, a fake pass and a shot attempt that's no good. Breeden couldn't connect on the triple. Lynchburg scoreless over the last 2.5 minutes. Henderson, the offensive rebound, the second chance no good, but earns a foul. This one awarded to Fagan.
Yeah, I like the bounce from Henderson there. 6'6" sophomore from Durham. He's a guy that can get to the rim. And that time he actually got to the rim twice there as he got fouled. It looks like Washington and Lee wants to take time.
McHugh and company will talk things over as they have jumped out to a dominant 22-9 advantage here at the midway mark in the first half.
My name is Brittany Coleman. I graduated in 2014 and I have a major in chemistry and a minor in secondary education, and I'm currently teaching chemistry. I have a major in chemistry and a minor in secondary education, and I'm currently teaching chemistry and 7th grade science at a local combined school. Being able to have access to your professors pretty much anytime they're in their office is really helpful, especially in difficult science subjects. I love that I am able to teach a difficult subject to students.
Dell out here having a good time in Turner Gymnasium. He's one of the only Hornets that's just dancing right now. Hornets have been scoreless over the last 3 minutes and 12 seconds. Washington and Lee has taken advantage on a 9-0 run during that time span.
Yeah, Henderson will have a chance to make a few free throws here, but you're right, Dell's wishing that the hive was buzzing a little bit more. First one will not go in. It's 3 minutes and change for Lynchburg without a bucket. It's feeling a bit more desperate here as every second ticks by, Joe.
Henderson misses the front end. He's a 54% free throw shooter this season.
Math
Next
worked
on the
out.
second end. And when you hear 54%, you would think that he's towards the bottom of the list in terms of percentages for Lynchburg. He's smack dab in the middle. Lynchburg as a team shooting 58% from the free throw line this season. Reverse pass to Thomas. Carving his way inside as it's stripped away by Henderson. Now the Hornets are out and running. They don't have numbers, but they still want to go. Gray attacks the basket, and he'll head to the charity stripe.
It starts with the defense from Henderson. I'm about to takeaway, put two hands on. He got both hands in the cookie jar and did not get caught. And then up ahead to Gray. Very nice here. You know, you got the defense a little bit out of sorts, even though you don't truly have a fast break opportunity. Good job to force the issue, attack the outside shoulder of the defender, get to the rim.
Lynchburg shooting 28% from the floor, 0 from three, 33% from the free throw line. Now make it 40 as Fagan re-enters the contest in the place of Finney. Second attempt, up and in. A nice trip to the line right there from Gray, this sophomore out of Landon. Back to a 10-point game. Ransom has it poked away. Gray comes out of the pack. Now Faust is out and running. Over for Callaway. He picked up his dribble, now looking for some help. And an offensive foul. This one called on Henderson. That'll be his first of the contest, Lynchburg's fourth.
Well, we've liked the aggressiveness from guys like Henderson and Buggs earlier, but there's got to be a limit there. You got to know when, where to use it. Lynchburg with the chance for momentum here. Thought they might get something on that possession, but I would argue a better spurt for Lynchburg. Let's see if they can keep it up on the defensive side.
Ryan being harassed by Faust. Faust goes right over top of the screen. Continues to cause issues. Amorosi now. He got this switch. Mouse in the house underneath. And can they get it to him in time? Shot clock at 3, at 2, at 1. Basket's no good. They'll say he got it off in time, and an immediate turnover. Ryan intercepts it. Clearing out for Amorosi, and what a great defensive stance right there from Henderson.
Yeah, really, you took the words right out of my mouth. He's 30 feet away from the basket, 6'6" guy, but he uses the long arms and legs to his advantage out there in space. That was a good sequence for Lynchburg. And defensively, I mean, they're really locking down right now. Hornets offense has just got to get a little busy.
Young dumps it off for Henderson. Through contact, no call. And the basket, no good.
Generals have been scoreless for 2 minutes and change now, Joe.
Fagan continuing to let it fly. He's scorching hot.
Yeah, if you haven't scored in a while, get it to the guy with the most recent hot hand.
And Lynchburg responds on the other end.
Slice and dice.
Fagan came into this game shooting 31% from the perimeter, just 6.5 points per game.
Yeah, only 11 off the bench in their win against EMU, but obviously he would be a known commodity on that scouting report for Hillary Scott. Another John Henderson takeaway. Very nice.
Michael Gray rises from three, off the mark. Fagan the rebound. As we talk about Fagan, we have seen him explode a few times this season. His season high's 26, and he's cooking right now. That game he had 26, he was 8 for 20 from three. This is a guy that's not afraid to let it fly, and we're seeing that showcased here today. 4 for 4 from downtown.
Yeah, and if you're Lynchburg, next time on D, expect that he will maybe not shoot it, but he's going to at least touch it next possession.
Young, a step off the dribble, a crafty finish inside off the Euro step.
Yeah, a little hop, skip, and a jump move there from Pearson Young. All right, watch Fagan. Got to know where he's at.
And at this point, you think about face guarding him.
Yeah. We've seen Lynchburg go to that from time to time.
Ryan nowhere to go. And Faust tacked with a foul. A pair of hands on heads on the Lynchburg sideline after that whistle. Faust will most likely now take his seat. Jamarcus Brown was at the scores table. He will most likely take his spot. Nonetheless, we'll keep it here for a moment. 6:55 to go. Lynchburg trailing by a dozen, 16-28. I mean, what's been the biggest differential in your mind so far?
Well, probably shooting. I mean, I know you could talk about that in a lot of games, but Washington Lee is shooting it great at the moment, specifically from outside. Lynchburg is not. Lynchburg is still 0 for 7 from 3, and you don't have to live by the 3 if you're Lynchburg, but you got to make it up in some other areas, and 33% from the field, probably not good enough right now for the Hornets. 4 of 7 from the free throw line. Sometimes looking at that total shooting number is of value, Joe. You're hearing about that a lot more, and it's just you combine the free throws, the 2-pointers and the 3-pointers into one number. And some coaches like that, a little bit more digestible, some don't. But right now, to me, shooting's the big standout and the big difference maker.
And wherever you look at it in terms of shooting percentages, whether that may be from the floor, from the perimeter, or from the charity stripe, Washington and Lee dominating thus far in every facet of the game. Right now, the only thing that's really keeping Lynchburg going is those steals. Right now, he's 5 on the day. That's caused 6 turnovers for the Generals. And how about Henderson having a day on the defensive side here in the first half? 3 steals already.
Well, it is the defense for Lynchburg that has kept them within arm's length. They're down a dozen right here, but you know, look at the rebounding numbers. Lynchburg still, I think, -7 in that department. So things will need to improve for Lynchburg. Still time, though, as we're not even at the halftime break yet. Fun game, though, and it's a good contrast in maybe not styles, but in results, because Lynchburg is doing it on the defensive end, despite being lacking in some other areas.
Ryan driving down the left side, swarmed by a host of Hornets. Now Ransom. Outside for Ryan once again, trying to carve some space. Fadeaway jumper, no good. Hart rips away the rebound. Now Young out and running, driving for the baseline. And the struggles offensively for Lynchburg continue. 6 of 19 from the floor. Nice little two-man game. Extra pass outside for Duncan. Draws back iron. Underneath for... And a foul awarded. Jamarcus Brown. That's really become his signature move on that low block. A little bit of a dream shake.
Yeah, look one way, spin the other way. And again, his spins and his speed are so quick. Good matchup for him, too, with Fagan on there. You would like Brown in the post in that setup if you could get that every single time. But you have to cash in from the free throw line.
Fagan listed at 6'2" compared to Jamarcus Brown at 6'6". And I hate to do this, but that 6'6", it's got to be a little inflated. This is a guy that's 6'4", but the way he jumps, he makes you feel like he's 6'9".
That's exactly right. He plays very much above the height and weight listed. Got Henderson on something there. Yep.
Henderson, for a moment, looked like he was going to come up with the offensive rebound. It must have hooked the defender. That's his second foul, so he'll head to the sideline. Bugs will re-enter the contest.
So you lose a little bit of perimeter defense with the Bugs-Henderson swap, but as I say that, Bugs is going to come pick up at about 40 feet away. I love it. I love it. What do the announcers know?
Lynchburg almost comes away with another steal. This time it's Fagan missing.
He's human.
From the perimeter. Just a tad short. Hart, hesitation, now will let it go. Can't get the roll. And another foul on Lynchburg. I'll say Bugs went over the back. And a front court that we've already talked about being extraordinarily thin. The three guys that we've seen down low today, in Bugs, Faust, and Henderson play that center spot, now all have 2 fouls.
I think it's a byproduct of how physical they are, right? But it's not an ideal situation for Lynchburg because you're going to need all 3 of those guys in the second half. I think Lynchburg has, for the most part, done a nice job in the lane.
In the bonus the rest of the way. This is the 1-and-1 attempt, no good. Tipped back out. Beautiful job down low. Kick out Fagan off the mark. And this time an over-the-back foul on Ryan. And we'll have 1-and-1 the other way.
And that's all Jake Hart right there, understanding the positioning, understanding the box out. And he not only got in front of his man and sealed him off, he was actually backing Colin Ryan away from the basket. So that's one you can show on your tape as far as how we want to box out if you're Lynchburg.
Hart shooting 63% from the charity stripe this year. Got the front end. Van Nellison, a freshman who I'm personally a big fan of. This is a guy that I think will be playing a whole lot more as the season continues to go on. The definition of a stretch 4.
Yeah, 6'9" guy. Just wait till he gets a little more meat on the bones, a little more muscle. Ed Smith's going to season him up in the weight room in the offseason. I'm with you on his ceiling is very, very high.
And I talked to head coach Hillary Scott about what the weight room regimen looks like for a guy like Van Nellison versus a guy like Faust or Bugs that's really already built up that strength. And what he told me was, you know, Van's a guy that he's young, he's a freshman. We're just getting him started in this regimen as this 3 is off the mark, but an offensive rebound for Hart. Gray now pump fake, drives baseline. Shot's no good, and a charge as we've got a man down on the other end.
Yeah, that was A.J. Thomas. Sorry to step on you there, Joe. He's been down the whole time. He wasn't in any danger, so the officials let Lynchburg play 5 on 4 there. Kind of a bad break there from Michael Gray. I love the aggressiveness. Thomas is going to get up here, though, but it was fairly scary just the way he was down there the entire time we were talking.
Hit the deck hard, but able to get up on his own power, which is always a good sign. He's tapping at his forehead. Looks like he just must have hit the deck at the wrong angle. Nonetheless, should be all right. But that defensive possession for Washington Lee also sums up how this game is felt. 4-on-5, and Lynchburg still turns it over.
No, perfect phrasing by you, and a perfect transition to get back to the flow of the game. You're right. Lynchburg has the advantage, can't make anything out of it. And on top of that, Michael Gray picking up his first foul of the game. So, yeah, I can't say again. I mean, that's a perfect transition by you.
But when we digress and we go back to the weight room aspect, you mentioned Ed Smith, and Hillary was very adamant about his role in not only just this men's basketball program, but the entire Lynchburg athletics program and the difference that it can make from a freshman to a senior. And it really pointed out Mason Makovic, a guy that came in here as Brown says no. How Smith can really change a player's body over the course of 4 years. A jump ball called, and Washington and Lee will take over once again.
Well, case in point, how about a guy like Jamarcus Brown, who's a freshman? Let him get some seasoning. How good and how athletic is he going to be? Just access denied at the front of the rim right there.
That's going to be scary when he gets even stronger. Underneath for Ryan, working on Brown. No shot, a traveling violation.
How much did the previous block help cause that? You know Brown's in the paint. You don't want to throw it up there and get rejected again, so you try to pump him, you try to get him on his feet, and then it ends up resulting in a travel.
Great discipline from Hillary Scott and his Hornets on that last possession. Hillary's someone who has been at the mountaintop, the ODAC champion in 2016. Lynchburg just trying to get right back to the top of the ODAC. We mentioned in the open how they currently find themselves in the middle of the pack. Out of 13 teams in the conference, Lynchburg sits at 6th. But what feels like a big gap between that top of the ladder and those first 5 teams and everybody else.
Well, the ODAC landscape right now is so difficult, so tough. You have multiple teams that have made Final Four runs. And, yeah, Lynchburg has been to the top of that mountain. Hillary Scott, it's something like a full decade he went without a losing season here on Lakeside Drive. But the separators are so minute. They're so detailed, and you get a player here, player there that can change a team's destiny. Lynchburg right now in that mid-pack, but I think reason to think that they could get back up to the top of the ladder sooner rather than later, Joe.
Right now, that top of the ladder has really been Hampton, Sydney, and Randolph-Macon. Those the 2 teams that certainly have a target on their back night in and night out. Those are the 2 nationally ranked teams. Hampton City has dropped down to 11, which is wild to say they're dropping.
Right.
Still a top 15 team. Randolph-Macon has risen up to 13th behind their stellar guard, Keyshawn Pulley. Gray, opposite corner, pump fake, drives baseline, fading away, no good. Brown, the athleticism, able to corral the offensive rebound. Skip pass that's poked away by Duncan. He's trying to go coast to coast. Kisses it off the glass for 2.
Nice finish there. Tough over Pearson Young, who came to contest. Points off the turnover. It looked like it was going to be a good possession for Lynchburg after the offensive board.
Generals back out in a 2-3 zone. Van Nellison denied on the baseline. Back up top for Hart. Underneath for Brown. Loves that right hand, but it doesn't love him right there. Beautiful defense by the 6'5" freshman in Amorosi. He's had a really great night on the defensive end, somewhat quiet offensively. They've really run their offense through Ryan and the senior Fagan as a traveling violation causes the 7th turnover of the day for Washington and Lee. As you see that great defense turn into easy offense from Duncan. Another one of those first-year players that has provided a lot of production for Washington and Lee. 3:15 to go here in the first half. Generals out in front by a dozen. It's been a hot start today for the Generals, or a quiet start rather for the Lynchburg Hornets. Washington and Lee shooting just a tick under 50% from the floor, 55% from the perimeter. Meanwhile, the Hornets 6 for 23 from the field. That's good for 26%. And 0 for 9 from deep. While they're not fouling, they're still letting them fly.
I think you still have to let him fly for a while. I wonder what the limit is for Hillary Scott, though, when he says, okay, guys, no more threes for a little bit. We got to attack the basket. Lynchburg has tried to do that to their credit, and we've seen different post players get involved and get activated. On that note, we have Van Nellison back out there for Lynchburg, 6'9" man.
Somewhat of a bigger group on the floor for Lynchburg right now. Washington and Lee once again in his zone defense. Van in the corner. Van, bullseye.
Breaking the seal right on time, too, out of the timeout. Great after timeout result for Lynchburg.
That's just what they needed. The first time in about 10 minutes that the lead has been single digits for Washington and Lee. Another turnover off a Lynchburg steal. Thomas inside. Thomas, count it, and the foul.
Fantastic right there. You get a turnover, push it up the sideline. Thomas running the floor here. Watch him right down Main Street, power dribble, right up to the top.
Well, just when they get their first three of the day, now they can get one the old-fashioned way.
Another young guy for Lynchburg, too, Joe. Redshirt sophomore. Mike Gray's a sophomore. Bugs, Henderson, sophomores. It's really a young team for Lynchburg when you scan down the roster. Washington and Lee gets a lot of production from their first and second years.
Without a doubt. These are two really younger developing teams in the landscape of the ODAC. Nonetheless, there is senior talent that can get it done. We've seen that with Fagan here today for Washington and Lee. We know Faust is more than capable of providing production for Lynchburg as well. Fagan, we're talking about the seniors. This time the fourth year can't put it away. Lynchburg on a 6-0 run. With a chance to cut into that deficit even more so. Generals back into a man defense.
Yeah, I think a good job by Washington and Lee to change up the defensive coverage. Not the other one was broke, but you got to give Lynchburg a different visual.
Not sure if that pass was meant for Thomas or Hart. Nonetheless, Thomas turns it over. The 8th of the day for Lynchburg. A sloppy game altogether in terms of turnovers. Washington and Lee with 9. A grand total of 17 combined. We're not even at the midway point. Ryan. Outside Fagan, stepped his foot on the black line. Another turnover, now at double digits.
Yeah, I mentioned this in our women's game previously today, actually, but not all turnovers are created equal. Some the defense force, some you could argue they don't. For Fagan right there, should you be a bit more aware of where the sideline is? Most coaches would probably say yes.
Thomas, he can stroke it off the mark. Eli Thomas hadn't made a three-pointer all season until the last Lynchburg home game where he went 2 for 2 against Roanoke. In the most recent game as well, knocked in a pair of three-pointers. He's certainly been starting to find his groove. Amorosi from deep. No good. There you see the rebounding ability from Young.
Yeah, team rebound there too. Lynchburg had the paint clear.
Eli Thomas, a guy that sat out last season due to injury. Van Ellison, same spot, different result. Back up top for Young. Now the opposite corner for Van Ellison. Driving on Ryan, through contact, got it!
How about Van Nellison just barnstorming in from the deep corner there. Feel the energy picking up here with less than 30.
Back down to a 4-point game right before recess. A 3-second differential between shot and game clock. Ryan guarded by Thomas. Shot clock at 6. He's got to go. Driving right side. Through traffic. Out of bounds. They'll say last touched by a gray jersey. And Washington and Lee can now hold for the last shot. Or no, pardon me. Shot clock remains on. 1 second.
Probably got to throw to the rim and go for a tip-in here with this 1 second on the clock. And, yeah, great replay there from Van Nellis. Excellent stuff. He felt like he was falling in love with the corner three. Puts it on the deck and gets to the rim. Washington Lee taking a long time to get the ball in play, and the officials are letting them, I guess.
I feel like at some point you just set it down and
sure,
start.
yeah.
Fagan to inbound over the 6'9" Nellison. Throws it way up top. Brown rips it away.
Yeah.
And a foul was called. That'll send Brown to the charity stripe. As we take another look at that inbound from Fagan, I don't personally understand, or a travel rather. A travel was called on Jamarcus.
Yeah, that's bad luck right there with the shot clock winding down. Your instinct is to go for the steal. I'm with you on Fagan there. I mean, somebody's got to run to the rim for Washington and Lee with only 1 second on the clock. Hillary Scott pleading his case, as he should be.
Yeah, I think that's worth an appeal, but they're not going to take a second look at it. A bad break for the Hornets. Washington and Lee now with 3 seconds on the clock. Across the court, climbing the ladder, Thomas lets it go. Nothing on the final shot. Nonetheless, Lynchburg able to cut into that deficit with a late run, 8-0 over the last 4 minutes of the second half. That's a big-time response from Lynchburg.
No, it's massive. They're down a dozen. Hillary Scott took some timeouts. Lynchburg trying to get traction, and they finally do cut it to a 4-point deficit. What a fight back from Lynchburg. I think they carry momentum going into the locker room. If you're the Generals, they should still feel good about themselves. You would always want to have a lead, but the second half is anybody's ball game. I think very intriguing hoops coming our way.
Well, it hasn't been pretty, but at least we've got a good one on our hands. A 4-point ball game. Michael Gray leads the way for Lynchburg with 6. Fagan leads the way for the Generals with 12. We'll step aside momentarily. Second half of action coming up right after this.
My name is Emily Brubaker. I am a junior from Raleigh, North Carolina. I am a marketing major with a digital media marketing minor. I chose to come to the University of Lynchburg because, first of all, the golf program was new and it was starting up, so I was really intrigued by that idea. And then the class sizes here are also really similar to what I had in high school. And that was really good for me because it meant I would have a good relationship with my professor. So when I did have to miss for golf, the professor knew me, and being able to make up the work would be easier than if I went to a bigger school. What I like about the campus is walking around, everyone's just friendly in general. And first of all, it's a beautiful campus, but everyone around here is smiling and they're having fun. And it just has a really homey feel that is something that I really enjoy. What I liked about the athletic department here is the facilities are really nice. We have an indoor facility that is designated for us. And then something else that I really enjoyed is the coaches and the athletic directors are very involved in players' school and just golf in general. So it's nice knowing that you have a community around you to help you if you need help.
No
Great moments are born from great opportunity. That's what you have here tonight. That's what you've earned here tonight. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
To them, the whole world looks like an opportunity, one to be seized, built upon, and made better for their sport and the people around it. To student athletes, every opportunity is a chance to change what could be and show the world what opportunity can do.
Think a private education is too expensive? Think again. At the University of Lynchburg, you can get a personalized education for the cost of a state school. If you're commuting and you get our top scholarships, you could pay much less. And you get all that without the hassle of giant lecture halls. Our faculty know your name here and do more than just teach. You might even do research together and plan out your next career moves.
My name is Brittany Coleman. I graduated in 2014 and I have a major in chemistry and a minor in secondary education, and I'm currently teaching chemistry and 7th grade science at a local combined school. Being able to have access to your professors pretty much anytime they're in their office is really helpful, especially in difficult science subjects. I love that I am able to teach a difficult subject to students who typically aren't going to perceive it as enjoyable. I'm able to present it in an interesting way because I was presented this information in an interesting way. It's nice for me to be able to mirror what it was that influenced me to be able to teach.
A lot of people go to the universities to find something to be a part of while getting their education. And when you come here, Lynchburg is that something. It becomes a family. It's what this school's really good at doing.
"65 years ago, Virginia Farm Bureau made our local farmers a promise to protect and preserve the way of life they work so hard to establish. Today, our insurance agents work to protect all Virginians, not just farmers. But the original promise remains. And when you have insurance with Virginia Farm Bureau, you're an important part of upholding it. So help keep Virginia, Virginia. Talk to your local Farm Bureau insurance agent today."
I was looking for a school that could provide me with the athletics, academics to pursue my career, a wind symphony to pursue my passion for music, and really have a nice general atmosphere. The professors here are really unique, their background and their passion for teaching. It's really a place where you can explore. Lynchburg gives you the opportunity to fail, but also get back up in that period of time and learn from your mistakes. I can make these mistakes within the school environment, but also with the support of other friends, and be ready for the real world when you graduate.
Every great college has a great city. For Lynchburg, we are near urban areas with lots of restaurants, shopping, and events. Plus, we are one of the top schools in the area. Come see for yourself.
Look what you're missing!
It really don't matter to me, I'm just happy to be here, I might go crazy.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. That's what you have here tonight. That's what you've earned here tonight. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
And we welcome you back into the Hill City here at Turner Gymnasium. It's the Washington and Lee Generals out in front of the Lynchburg Hornets, 30-26. The Generals led by as many as 14 in that first half, but a late 8-0 run from Lynchburg in the last 4 minutes of the half cut the deficit to just 4 here at recess. Joe Brennan joined alongside my good friend and partner Kyle Haney. Kyle, at the starting stage of this game, it really felt like it was the Generals' game to run away with. But at the midway point, it's anyone's ball game.
It sure is. Intriguing first half, if you want to use boxing analogies. I thought it was early rounds to Washington and Lee, but they never could knock out Lynchburg. The Hornets got off the mat a couple times. They started swinging. Lynchburg's actually in the middle of an 8-0 run right now, and there you see some statistical analysis from the first half.
The turnovers have really been the most eye-opening aspect of this game. Lynchburg with 9. Our graphic reads 5, but it's actually 11 for Washington and Lee. A combined 20 turnovers between these two teams. It has certainly been sloppy, but also you got to credit great defense. 7 steals for Lynchburg, 5 for Washington and Lee.
I think so. I think you're right about the defense. And then also the way the game has been officiated. We did get in the bonus there at the end of the first half, but I think the refs have let the guys muddy it up a little bit. So that's probably the cause of a few more of those turnovers. And then there's just a few kind of moments where both teams got out of their character and maybe threw the ball away or something. But overall, it has been dominated by defense and rebounding, and Washington and Lee does have an edge in that rebounding stat as well.
And you mentioned the free throw category. Lynchburg is 7 for 12, which is pretty much on pace with what they've done this season. But on the flip side, for Washington and Lee, they have really struggled to get to the line tonight. Just 2 of 3 as a team. All of those have come from the forward Colin Ryan. Nobody else has earned a trip to the charity stripe.
Yeah, and Ryan does do the majority of his offensive work in the paint, so that kind of makes sense. You also had Thomas Fagan kind of going nuclear from outside, so you're going to have a little less fouls there. Still an intriguing stat, though, for sure. And it's one, you know, do the referees realize, hey, they've only shot 3 free throws, that kind of thing. We'll see.
Late in that half, it was Van Nellison that really cut into this deficit for Lynchburg. Through just 6 minutes, he is second on the team with scoring, going 2 for 3 from the floor with a 3-pointer from the near side corner.
Yeah, what a big impact. Then he had that nice take to the rim, finished through some contact. Does he garner more minutes in the second half, or does Hillary Scott like the rotation as is? Also worth pointing out, some of the other Lynchburg post players do have 2 fouls apiece. Now, at the halftime break, 2 fouls doesn't seem like an issue, but you pick up that 3rd and then the 4th, all of a sudden the problem represents itself.
Fouls to Henderson and Buggs, the 3 forwards with 2 fouls. Ryan with 2 for Washington and Lee alongside Finney. Well, that first half for Washington and Lee, I mean, it was all Fajan. The 6'2 senior guard out of New York, New York, is playing like Brunson right now, the way he's shooting it from deep.
Yeah, for sure. Those New York guys are a different breed, and they take pride in their basketball too. They carry that banner everywhere that they go. So he's a baller. What a fantastic option to be able to bring him off the bench for Washington and Lee as well.
A relatively quiet day for the Generals' leading scorer in Amorosi, just 5 points through the first 20 minutes. But he has been phenomenal down low with a game-high 5 rebounds.
Yeah, I wonder if they run more plays for him in half 2.
Young inside, sent the other way, but a foul called on Amorosi. He didn't agree with it, but Young will take it gladly and head to the free throw line for a pair.
Good work here by Pearson Young, kind of move across the lane. And that's one, depending on whose team you're on. You agree or disagree with the call. But I like Lynchburg trying to go to the backboard early. That's a good sign.
Young, a 57% shooter from the free throw line. Only 5 Hornets this season are shooting over 50%, over 60% from the free throw line. Pardon me. 2 of those are sidelined.
Yeah, and you wonder how much of that is talked about, because it's hard to yell at guys for not making the free throws, right, Joe? They know they're supposed to make the free throws. You just kind of have to devote more time to it, I guess.
Nonetheless, that pair from Young cuts the deficit in half, a 1-possession ball game. Amorosi denied by Brown. Now Ryan working on foul, straightaway triple. Amorosi gets it to fall.
That's a quality possession. It didn't start great, but some patience there from the Generals, and Amorosi pops free. Breaks the scoring run from Lynchburg, too. It actually became a 10-0 run dating back to half 1.
Outside in the corner for Faust. That 3-point bowl, not his shot. They'll work it around the horn. Gray lets it go. Gray connects from the angle.
That's fantastic confidence right there.
A silky smooth response from the outside, back to a 2-point game. Ryan takes a high screen for Amorosi. Underneath, beautiful backdoor cut. Young got a piece of it, but not enough. Squeaks through for the deuce.
Yeah, A.J. Thomas taking advantage of the overplay.
Gray once again. Cold-blooded. Back back-to-back triples from Gray.
Yeah, check that vein. You're going to find some ice water. He's feeling it. Get it back to him next possession.
Thomas up top. Shot clock now under 10. Amorosi in the corner, air ball. Batted around, they'll say last touched by Lynchburg. Washington and Lee hangs on to possession, but 1 on the shot clock.
And they had this situation late in half number 1. Let's see if they learned their lesson a little bit.
And that last time they threw it to about half court. Jamarcus Brown reached up and grabbed it out of the air, but a travel was called while he was on the deck. These two sides will want to talk things over. What do you draw up here if you're head coach McHugh?
Well, you probably have a play for this situation, and in saying that, it felt like they didn't the first time we had this situation. But I think you obviously try to have a screen that sends the first guy go to the front of the rim. When Lynchburg takes that away, you send runners number 2 and 3 towards the rim, and you don't have to throw the tip right to the front of the rim. But I just think with one, you don't feel real confident about having a chance to come down and catch and shoot. It looks like they are actually going to look at the replay here, Joe, and maybe see if that ball grazed the rim or not, or you could argue that Lynchburg had a possession. I don't think that's the case, so I think they're probably checking to see maybe if the ball touched the rim or not.
So replay time. Seems like an appropriate moment to shout out our director and producer today in Josh Smith. Always old reliable. As they will say 2 seconds on the shot clock rather than 1.
So now you can maybe run one of your regular baseline out of bound plays here. You do have time for a catch. Probably still don't really have time for a dribble in this situation, but definitely time for a catch and shoot.
Up top for Thomas. He's got to let it go. Thomas, air ball. Good defensive stand from Lynchburg, but Coach Scott does not seem satisfied, shrugging his shoulders and hollering at his players.
I was wrong about having time for a dribble, though. Thomas actually had plenty of time for a dribble, but the concept, I think, was right. It's just hard to score with 2 on it.
Gray looking to go 3 for 3 from deep. Michael Gray, he's a flamethrower.
Saturday triple play. I said get it back to him. They certainly did. Different wing this time, same result.
And for the first time since 3-2, Lynchburg out in front. Here's Gray in transition for Young. Draws the foul. Jackson Ransom, the one that got his hand in the cookie jar. And Pearson Young heads back to the free throw line for the second time here in the second half.
Well, I love Michael Gray right here. You said it. He's got the flamethrower going. The traditional thought is, let me shoot it. Instead, unselfishly, he bounces off to Pearson Young.
First free throw is good. And while we haven't talked about him a whole lot, what a day it's been from Hart. While he only has 1 point, going 1 for 2 from the charity stripe, as Young goes 4 for 4 from the line here in the second half. 6 rebounds and 6 assists for the 6'1" guard. And always causing trouble on the outside for opposing offenses.
It brings you so much in all those vital areas.
Faust in a battle down low, continuing to deny Ryan.
And a knockdown in there, too.
Shot clock at single digits. Ryan's got to go. Faust not giving him any room to operate. Beautiful dish just before the buzzer. Jackson Ransom tucks it away to cut the deficit in half. And Coach McHugh wants to talk things over as the Hornets have reclaimed the lead. 39-37 here in Turner Gymnasium. Hornets out in front by a pair, 39-37. It's that man right there, Michael Gray, who's caught fire here in the second half. Gray, a game high, 15 points, 5 of 9 from the floor, 3 of 6 from deep.
Came in 31 for 88, which is right around 35%. The way he was filling it up there, you'd think he was more like an 80% shooter from outside. I'm sure he was mentioned in the Washington and Lee timeout huddle. We've seen both teams have a player catch fire.
Gray, nice crossover, drives inside, left-hand finger roll was short. Brown the offensive rebound, going up through contact, can't get it once again. Third try is the charm.
That's what the athleticism can do for you. You can miss some. You don't have to be perfect. You get those second and third chances.
Ransom will reset. Takes the screen. Back up top for Ryan. Underneath, Amorosi fading away over Brown. How beautiful.
Yeah, that's classy right there. That's classy. I think you got to get Amorosi a bit more involved if you're Washington and Lee. Easy to say from up here, but you see that touch. I just want to see it over and over again.
These threes from the angle starting to open up more and more with zone coverage. Washington and Lee has gone back to man because of it. Pearson Young from the angle, left it well short. Hart tries to save it, but Brown got tangled up with Ransom and earns a whistle. You can tell he doesn't agree with it.
Solid observation by you on the Washington and Lee defensive change there. We saw them employ a couple different defenses, a mix of man and zone in the first half. I think we'll see that going forward. I think when you find a team starting to catch fire, a great way to slow that down is to change defenses. And Washington and Lee clearly has the ability to do that.
The Generals take out A.J. Thomas, the junior out of Georgetown Prep, in place of Zach Duncan. Underneath, Amorosi trying to get some space, just enough to put it up and in.
Great.
Tie ball game.
Sorry, Joe. Gray nearly lost that inbound there. Just wasn't ready for it. But Amorosi, again, we saw him strike on the little fadeaway. That time he gets it right to the rim. Fancy little reverse finish.
Gray. Hesitation. Hop step. Fading away. Oh, it's like string music. Michael Gray with 17 points. He's come alive. Lynchburg clinging to a 2-point lead, 43-41. 15:02 to go. And we welcome you back into Wayne Prophet Court. Michael Gray and the Lynchburg Hornets back out in front, 43-41. An explosive start to the second half here through the opening first 5 minutes, Kyle.
He got hot from outside, and then we've mentioned his unselfishness and now also discipline to not fall in love with the three-point shot. He knows Washington and Lee is going to try to run him off the line. So it's a show and go, dribble, get inside, and then, man, talk about touch. Got that one to bounce high off the iron, then drop down into the well for 2 on that last trip. Lynchburg by 2 in what is really developing into a great ball game.
Amorosi on Jamarcus Brown. Here's the senior. He's gone cold ever since a hot start from downtown. Ransom will try it. Off the mark, another offensive rebound. Amorosi working on Faust. In the short corner, fades away. Money.
You mentioned a dream shake earlier. Hakeem used to do that too as well. Bang him and then fade away from the free throw line and just lace it.
Gray looking to attack. They won't count it. They'll say it's on the floor. I was going to say Amorosi gave me a little bit of Dirk Nowitzki right there.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, he didn't quite have the one leg up like Dirk, but definitely definitely reminiscent for sure. And this is, again, not to be selfish, it's not all about what I want, but I wanted to see Washington and Lee get Amorosi a bit more activated. It's paying off for him now. Got a tie ball game.
Amorosi now with 14 points. 9 of those have come here in the second half. Brown spinning inside, no good. Rebound Hart. Once again, they'll say foul on the floor. Hart with 7 rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, you've mentioned him before, and with good reason. He's in the middle of the lane, shortest guy out there, one of them anyway. He just plays so much bigger than his size, though. Really scrappy.
Michael Gray, cold-blooded.
Picking up right where he left off. He's passing the heat check every time, it would appear.
He's made 4 threes here in the second half. Ryan being harassed on the inside, no whistle. Lynchburg going the other way. Gray can't leave him open. Oh, a heat check from Michael Gray. Now the General's looking to go. Fajan orchestrating his way. Ryan, nice little rocker step that draws the foul from Brown. That'll be Brown's second foul.
And fun game right here, Joe. I mean, really, a relocation 3-point attempt from Michael Gray, a rare miss from Michael Gray, and Washington and Lee trying to respond blow for blow. Maybe Fajan can get hot again. We know he's capable, because you can't become too one-dimensional. I mean, I mentioned Amorosi a lot for Washington and Lee, but you got to have other options.
He'll give Mike a breather. Eli Thomas checks into the contest.
Don't hate that from Hillary Scott, though. You don't want to take him out when he's still on the heater, but now that he's missed one, probably time to give him a break and then let him run for the last 10 minutes or so.
Thomas inside. Great contest from Faust.
Yeah, not on Faust.
Trying to reward him on the other end. Banging bodies down low, and an offensive foul. Ryan hit the deck hard.
It's been that kind of a game, so you can see why Jonathan Faust probably thought this was okay, but I think you can also see why the officials flagged him for 15 yards there.
And that's one that wasn't nearly as physical as the two we've seen earlier from today with no whistle. So Faust up in arms, reasonable based on the consistency that we had seen in the first half. But clearly, when there's that kind of contact, it can go either way.
Yeah, and I think we're all in agreement that the officials have let the guys play. I think it's been enjoyable from that standpoint because we haven't heard the whistle blow a ton.
And tough to get away with that kind of contact right in front of the official.
Great point.
Corner three, Breeden ties us back up 46-46.
Big time. Hadn't heard from him. He is the team leader in three-point percentage for Washington and Lee, though.
He's another one of those freshmen. Eli Thomas almost lost the handle. Gets it right back up to his point guard. Hart takes a high screen from Henderson. Drives with a left hand. Nothing there. They try and feed him underneath. Ransom tips it out of bounds.
I like the active hands there from Ransom. Another first year. So much young talent for Washington and Lee.
This might be the stage where Hart starts to have that fatigue set in. He's played more than anybody else today. Young from deep. Off the mark, too strong. And a long rebound for Amorosi. Thomas tried to get Bugs on his feet, but stayed down. Great defense, but too physical, apparently.
Bugs did well initially to wall up, and then he kind of goes for the swipe here, I think, as A.J. Thomas pumps one time. Yeah, it's another one that, you know, it's one that has the appearances of a foul anyway, right, Joe? Whether he got all ball or not, when you swipe down with that kind of force, referees see that.
We've got a fan in the house that's making some noise on free throws. He's been a consistent attendee this year, but this is the first time we've seen him about 3 games. Let's see if we can catch him right here.
I heard it, yeah. Dell's down there too, by the way.
Unfazed by Dell in his face.
Did Dell change outfits? Is it a different look from the women's game?
I think he's got the baseball jersey on now.
Cool.
Washington and Lee back out into zone. No Michael Gray to make you pay from the perimeter. And just like that, they go right back into man. It's about how seamless they can transition. It's right there, you got a clip of the fan that not afraid to make some noise during those charity stripe attempts. Young once again from deep. This one's too short. Henderson lost his dribble.
I like the work from Henderson to get the initial rebound. That's a one on the three-pointers. Sometimes you actually don't want to be the player boxing out. You don't want to be the player inside because the rebound on the three tends to be longer and or higher. So Henderson did well there to use his body and actually force his player towards the basket. But then he lost it. Changes here. We get Van Nellison again. He was a big-time contributor in half one for Lynchburg.
Pearson Young also steps out of the game. Cole Calloway takes his spot. Young has really had a quiet day. He's 5 of 6 from the free throw line, which has helped, but 1 of 8 from the floor and 0 for 6 from 3. We really have not seen him have the same kind of production ever since he left due to injury about 3 weeks ago. Nellison moving in transition, takes contact, and he earns a pair.
Way to run the floor. A bigger guy, obviously, first-year guy, but doing a great job to gallop in there, catch a nice feed. Lynchburg's down 1. Van Nellison, first name Van, last name Nellison. Colorado, Rocky Mountain High. Could that be the nickname?
I thought you were about to spit some bars.
No, well, I mean, I could, but you know, he's 6'9", so he's up above everybody. I mean, that nickname would make sense, right? He might already have an existing nickname that he prefers.
Well, we've already coined Tyler Buggs' Splash Mountain. So that one is taken.
Yeah.
Van this season shooting 22% from the free throw line. Gets them both right there. Lynchburg takes the lead. 48-47. A back and forth ball game. Amorosi trying to go underneath. He'll kick it around. Ryan driving right side. Now shielding Henderson, fading away. Couldn't connect. Rebound to Lynchburg.
Good job by Henderson to bother him there.
Hart will slow things down. Both bigs come up. They get the switch. Now can you feed Buggs down low? Nellison will try it from deep. Nellison connects.
Fantastic design on the play. Double screens up top for Hart, and then the 2 post players screen away. Van Nellison was actually the second option to come through and catch it and just bang another one home.
Nellison 2 for 3 from deep today. This Lynchburg team really struggled from the perimeter to get things started. They're slowly starting to work their way back into it because of the three-point ball. Here's a triple, a response. That's left short. Henderson the rebound. The Hornets out and running. Callaway into the lane. No whistle. Buggs the follow and the finish.
Going Lynchburg's way right now. You cannot deny the Hornets have the momentum. Might see a Washington and Lee timeout soon.
Amorosi inside, sent back by Hart. Nellison all the way. Shot's no good. They'll say a blocking foul. Amorosi still down on the other end.
My goodness. Absolute pandemonium right there. What a block from Jake Hart. Continues to be all Lynchburg. Officials are talking this over. Might get a reversal on this. They're going to call an offensive foul or not?
The call will stand for now.
Go check on Connor Amorosi here. Second time we've seen a Washington and Lee player down in a spot of bother. Now A.J. Thomas came back in the game. Should be Van Nellison to shoot 2 free throws. Smart there by him to go right to the basket as well. And hey, how about the previous point where Tyler Buggs with the offensive rebound and score? Lynchburg's doing a lot of things right at the moment.
Don't want to speculate on Amorosi, but the trainer is in clearly working on the lower left leg, on mainly the back part. Most likely a calf or anywhere in that region.
Yeah, he's off walking to the bench on his own power, gingerly walking next to the Washington and Lee trainer, athletic trainer. His name is Matt Phillips. He's actually a Lynchburg native, Joe. Fun fact there about Matt Phillips. He's been with the Generals for a while.
I can confidently say he will be sidelined at least for a couple possessions.
Yeah, I think you're right. It looks going to get something there.
Especially as the officials are now trying to get everybody back on the floor.
Yeah, a little bit of a break there, slowed down the pace in what was very enjoyable basketball. Honestly, that break, now I know you don't want to lose Amorosi to injury, but that may stall out some of Lynchburg's momentum right there. Trust me, that's not why he stayed down, but it could be a silver lining for Washington and Lee, perhaps.
And now your leading scorer is sidelined, and right behind him, Ryan, who the offense has really run through today, also has 4 fouls, and he's still in this game. That's something you need to be mindful of, and you don't necessarily want to turn away from him when you've got Amorosi on the bench. Nonetheless, Van Nellison, a 22% free throw shooter from the line, connects on both on back-to-back trips, now 4 for 4 from this stripe today.
Well, part of the reason why you're the best, Joe, is you pointed out that he had 4 fouls. I wasn't even thinking about that after the long delay, but you're absolutely right. Colin Ryan's going to stay out there playing with 4. We've still got 9 and change left in the game.
Lynchburg with their largest lead of the day at 8. A foul on the interior. This one will be awarded to Callaway. That is Callaway's first foul and Lynchburg's 5th. Lynchburg with 5, Washington and Lee with 6. The Hornets will have 1 and 1 the rest of the way. A.J. Thomas hit the line. He's 1 for 2 from this stripe.
Thomas is a 6'3" junior who made a game-winning three-pointer against Randolph-Macon last year in the tournament, that game that sent Washington and Lee to the ODAC championship game. And we talked about that in the pregame, but we haven't talked about it much here. Washington and Lee 18 and 10 last year. They are in a rebuilding phase, but man, again, with their young talent, it's not going to take them long to get back to the top.
Yeah, this team looks very scary 2 to 3 years down the road. When 4 of your 5 leading scorers are freshmen, you know that it's going to be explosive in a couple years. And
back to the zone.
Nellison left wide open. No good. Ryan out and running. Ryan can't finish over the long outreached arms of Nellison. Hart left open, calls for a screen from Buggs. Now they want to feed him underneath after the switch. Callaway will take it himself. Wide left.
Got to buckle down here defensively if you're Lynchburg. 6-point lead. Those get erased all the time. Know where Fajan's at as well. Don't let him get free for 3.
Foul on the floor. Lynchburg's 6th. This one will be inbounded underneath, but 1 and 1 for both of these teams the rest of the way. Amorosi now icing the backside of that left leg. And I've just got a strong feeling he's not going to be done today.
I see the shoe still on, so I think you're probably right. If that shoe was off, I might say, oh, I disagree with you, Joe, but in this case, I'm going to agree.
Or if he was on the training table or had head to the locker room, but it seems like right now the intention is to try and get him back in the next 8 minutes.
Yeah, good call.
Nonetheless, here's Ryan working on fouls. Skip pass, near side corner, Colin Ryan cuts the deficit in half. His 2nd bucket today. It's a 3-point ball game with 8 minutes to go. What a game we've had on our hands today, Kyle.
It's fantastic. Lynchburg was down 12 in half number 1. They go on an 8-0 run to end the first half to get them right within striking distance. We thought Lynchburg carried some momentum into half number 2. It appeared that they did. Michael Gray caught fire, lacing 3 consecutive three-pointers to get Lynchburg tied. And then lead happened after that, but now that Hornet advantage is down to 3. It is a true toss-up game in every sense of the word. Fans are really getting treated to a good one.
Amorosi now up and moving around on his sideline. You can tell he's just trying to loosen it up and certainly moving a whole lot better than when he originally walked off the floor. As for Lynchburg, when we talk about foul trouble, Tyler Buggs has 4 fouls. Jonathan Faust with 3. Nobody else really in the area code. It'll be Faust, Van Nellison, Brown, Callaway, and Hart for the Hornets.
Yeah, I hadn't seen Jonathan Faust here in a few minutes. Love his physical presence. He's going to bring something, particularly on the defensive side, but you can't forget about him as a scoring option either.
Underneath for Brown, poked away. Ball went right into the camera of Micah Adams. Hopes everything's all right.
Yeah, need more evasive action from Micah on that. He's just way too cool down there. Maybe we shouldn't make fun of him. I wasn't really making fun of him. I just like to see him a little quicker with the reflexes.
Inbound on the doorstep, wide open. Faust banks it home for 2.
Yeah, fantastic design on the inbound play. That's one you work on the blackboard, you work on it in the lab, and then when it comes to fruition, it feels so good for a coach.
Thomas, a contested 3. Lead cut to just 2 now.
You should just record us saying what a game, because I have a feeling we're going to say that about 15 more times before this is over.
Gray shot that one from Richmond.
That was audacious. That was, I like it. It was bold.
That's a shot you can get at any time in the shot clock. But he was feeling it. Climbs the ladder, controls the board, heads the other way. Gray working on Ryan. Jamarcus outside, Nellison. He's got a runway. Draws contact. Blocking foul on Ransom. That now his 4th foul.
How about the young guy right there? Just a little subtle head nod to get the defender, maybe thinking jump shot, and then pound the floor and get to the rack. That's impressive from a 6'9" first year.
Full timeout, 7 minutes to go. Lynchburg out in front, 57-55, with a pair of Van Nellison free throws coming up when we come back.
65 years ago, Virginia Farm Bureau made our local farmers a promise to protect and preserve the way of life they work so hard to establish. Today, our insurance agents work to protect all Virginians, not just farmers. But the original promise remains. And when you have insurance with Virginia Farm Bureau, you're an important part of upholding it. So help keep Virginia, Virginia. Talk to your local Farm Bureau insurance agent today.
A lot of people go to the universities to find something to be a part of while getting their education. And when you come here, Lynchburg is that something, it becomes a family. It's what the school's really good at doing.
(57-55) our score here from the Hill City as the Hornets are out in front and a chance to extend their lead. The 6'9" freshman Van Nellison at the stripe for a pair.
It's 4 fouls on Ransom as well for Washington Lease. They got a couple players in foul trouble, but they are going to get Connor Amorosi back. He's checked into the game as Nellison cans the first. Lynchburg by 3.
I mentioned Nellison was 22% on this season from the line. He was just 2 for 9 overall before today. Now from the free throw line today, 6 for 7. Or pardon me, 5 for 6.
Yeah, just not a lot of minutes. I mean, he only played in 10 games, less than 100 minutes on the season coming into this.
Fajan left open in the corner. His cold spell continues. And a turnover. Breeden couldn't control. Michael Gray throwing it up. Jamarcus throwing it down.
Somebody put the roof back on, Joe.
Thomas inside. And a travel.
Wow.
The 13th general turnover today as we take a look at Jamarcus dunking on his own teammate.
Yeah, Faust and Van Nellison were both there, who are two guys that can also dunk it down, but get it to your premier flushing option, Jamarcus Brown. How about the energy inside Turner right now?
Lynchburg up by 5. Inside for Brown. Fading away, cashing in.
Oh. Come on, you can't dunk like that and then also have the fadeaway. You just can't. And as a first year, you just can't do it.
Brown has been fast, physical, relentless all day long. And Lynchburg bodes a 7-point advantage. We failed to mention that Amorosi checked back into the game during that previous timeout. He tried to save it from rolling out of bounds right there, couldn't track it down in time.
Yeah, good effort, good hustle. He looks to be moving just fine. Nice move by A.J. Thomas. It's almost like it was so good Amorosi wasn't quite ready for it on the little jumping kind of half no-look wraparound.
More zone from the Generals. They're leaving Gray open. Gray will drive inside, fade away, rolls off the back of the rim. Faust trying to track it down. Claimed by Ryan. He wants to go. Thomas, he'll try it. Thomas. Nylon from 3. Back down to a 4-point game. He has 14.
He was headed the other direction to play defense. Steph Curry like. He let it go and took a few steps back on the other side of the court.
Underneath for Faust. Physicality at its finest. Jonathan Faust bullying his way inside, earns the 2. Lead back up to 6 for Lynchburg. Their largest was 8 at 9 minutes to go here in the second half. Now with 4:50. Washington and Lee needs to string together a few stops to climb back into this contest.
Yeah, Generals are going to have to be really clean offensively, and then to your point, you got to lock in and get some stops. That's easier said than done with what Lynchburg's got going on offensively right now. Here's another look at it. You just show that as many times as you want. That's fantastic. But Washington and Lee defensively, we have seen them use multiple defenses. I think that's the way to go going forward. If you can change every possession, Joe, that's going to bother Lynchburg just enough. And some teams can even change the defense in the possession. Maybe you start in the zone, match up on a pass. There's all kinds of different options you have as a coach. I think Chris McHugh will be going to those options.
And right now we've got double watch with Hart. Not for points. He's got 1 point, but 10 rebounds and 9 assists for Hart.
That's incredible.
The point guard has had a spectacular day, and the sophomore out of North Carolina has done everything asked of him.
That's a Draymond Green double-double. and Draymond Green's actually the only guy to have a triple-double and not have double-digit points.
And if you recall, also had what I would call the highlight defensive play of the day, where he met Amorosi at the apex and got a phenomenal block.
1000% agree. I mean, and Jake Hart is a guy, he could get 10 steals in a game. Maybe we need to start calling it the Jake Hart double-double and the Jake Hart triple-double. Let's see if he gets it first, of course. Having a short conversation there with Fajan. Two guys just talking ball, it looked like.
Well, what I've kind of coined for him this year is the heart attack. Here's Ryan on the outside working on Faust. Gets his step underneath over Nellison. Count it.
Yeah, good take. Good take right there.
Hart looking to push. Now he'll slow things down. Lynchburg will reset. Skip pass for Nellison in the corner. Money! Make that a double-double for Hart.
Wow. Excellent feed on target. Van Nellison, quick release.
Here's a quick release and a quick response. A.J. Thomas now with 17.
It is blow for blow, baby. That is big. We still got 4 minutes of this stuff. Regulation might not be enough, Joe.
Feed the hot hand. Here's Nellison driving through. No good. Great defense underneath from Ryan and avoiding the foul. You got to remember, he's got 4. Fajan. He went 4 for 4 from 3, has missed his last 6. Hart inside, carving his way for 2.
That was truly wall to wall. He got the rebound there, believe that's his 11th, right? And then took it all the way to the house for the bucket. Jake Hart, masterclass right now for point guard play.
Ryan takes the high screen from Thomas. 2 Hornet defenders collide. Thomas left open, and Thomas now with 20. Thomas this shooting 29% from 3. He is 5 of 8 from outside and has cut the deficit in half, 69-66. A 3-point game with 3 to go.
We have seen multiple players for each team just go completely bonkers, Joe. Just go psycho from outside, and like you said, shoot way above what you would think on the scouting report and the percentages. It's been that kind of game. Who is the next guy to rise to the occasion? We could see somebody that's already been talked about, or is there some supporting role player just waiting in the wings to make a big basket at the end? This might come down to whoever has the last touch.
And what started as a defensive affair has quickly evolved into an offensive showcase between these two teams. Washington and Lee has made 4 of their last 5 shots, Lynchburg 3 of their last 4. And it seems like every time there's a big swing, the opponent has a response.
Really, exactly right. Both teams have been better at taking care of the ball. We had turnovers as part of our story at halftime. I don't think we've mentioned them at all in the second half.
We have not, really. There was a combined 20 turnovers at half. Currently, there are 26.
So there you go. Yeah.
That's a clean second half. After really a sloppy 20 minutes to get started. And it was the Lynchburg defense that really kept them within striking distance. The Generals led by as many as 14 with 7.5 to go in the first half. But a late run in the waning stages of that first 20-minute period kept Lynchburg in it. They've come alive here in the second. Hart left open, clear the runway. Oh, he botched the lay-in.
Love to have that back. Man-to-man setup that time for Washington and Lee. See if they stay in it next time down. Chance to tie here, though.
Feed the hot hand. He's feeling it. A.J. Thomas, 6 of 9 from deep, ties us up at 69.
6'3" junior from Gaithersburg is unconscious right now, and I'll say it again, you have to get it back to him next possession if you're the Generals.
Over the top, feed the high-flying freshman. Jamarcus Brown goes up and in, reclaims the lead.
Good touch from Hart. Another assist for that guy.
Amorosi over for Ryan. Thomas working on Nellison, gets the switch with Faust. Asijan, straightaway 3. Has missed his last 7 attempts from deep.
See if Lynchburg can restore some order to this. 97 seconds left to play in regulation.
This feels like a very big possession. Mike Gray's gonna let it fly. Left it short. And Scott is irate on the sideline. He clearly did not like that shot selection.
Yeah, I was in the middle of saying not a bad setup, but you're right. Hillary Scott totally disagreeing with me, and he would know quite a bit more about what the team wanted right there, what the team required right there. So here comes Washington and Lee with another possession where they can tie or take the lead. Know where A.J. Thomas is at. It looks like Pearson Young in the game will draw the assignment of guarding Thomas.
Young takes the place of Gray. A chance to tie or take the lead for Washington and Lee. Young comes up on the screen. Thomas left open from the angle. It's short. Now you can start to slow things down a little bit. Yeah. And this is when you start thinking about clock management, going 2 for 1 or 3 for 4.
Yeah, probably should be thinking about that right here if you're Lynchburg. If you get a wide open shot, don't mind taking that.
Shot clock under 10. Hornets got to go. Brown fading away. Brown, nylon.
Clutch.
Two possession game. Outside in the corner. Breeden buries it. 1 point game. A 5-second difference between shot and game clock. And Scott wants to talk things over.
Man, I mentioned we've had multiple players step up. Who was going to be the guy that hit the next big shot? It's Bryce Breeden. Gets free in the corner and absolutely buries it. And for Lynchburg, Jamarcus Brown with a tough bucket on the fadeaway. Going to see another look at that right here. This is what put Lynchburg up 4.
That was a big-time play from Jamarcus. He currently sits with 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals and a block. But the response from Breeden leaves us where we are currently. With that being said, let's take a look at what's to come for Lynchburg in the next set of games. Right down the line after this home game, they've got a tough pair of contests on the road against Guilford and Randolph-Macon. The Quakers receiving votes, Randolph-Macon currently sitting at 13th. Then you come home for a great home contest, a crosstown rivalry, and a Code Red affair against the Randolph Wildcats, and then Shenandoah back on the road.
Yeah, really tough stretch there. Obviously, you got to hit the road to Greensboro to take on Guilford. Then you go to Ashland for Randolph-Macon, 2 teams that have made those Final Four runs in recent history. And you get, I would say, a little bit of a breather, but we know Randolph is going to be tough. We know Shenandoah is always tough. So, no, Lynchburg does not get a breather in those next 2.
That'll be a fun one when Randolph comes to town. Jordan Phillips McLeod, their leading scorer, is 2nd in the ODAC. He's someone we saw play here at the Wayne Prophet Classic, and he can score and do so in bunches. 73-72. Faust, Gray, Nellison, Young, and Hart on the floor for Hornets. Faust gets it in for Pearson Young. Jake Hart at the logo. It's Gray from the angle. Shot clock now under 10. Gray calling for it. ISO pulls up, leaves it short. Faust fighting for the rebound, draws the foul. He hit the deck hard.
He paid the price on that one. Great effort to box out, get position, went up, handled the basketball, and really got undercut there, it looked like. We'll have another look at it, I'm sure, but that's big. Lynchburg's going to retain the possession with 7.1 seconds left. They lead by 1. If you're Washington and Lee, you probably attempt to steal the inbound pass, and then I think you have to foul intentionally.
Well, I don't know if there's going to be an inbound pass. This will go to 1-and-1.
True. Good point.
And if Faust can't shoot these, it'll go to McHugh to select who he would like to take the shot.
Yeah, good point there. You're right. 18 fouls for Washington and Lee. So it will be a 1-and-1 situation. 7.1 seconds left. Now rebounding becomes ultra important for both teams. You might give up a 3-point shooter just to get somebody bigger on the low block there, especially if you're Washington and Lee. You cannot risk a Lynchburg offensive rebound right here. Then if that happens, you obviously would have to foul intentionally to stop the clock again, and same scenario with a little less time. Jonathan Faust still down, getting some attention from Dane Bauer, the athletic trainer here at the University of Lynchburg.
And this is when you just hope that he's okay. Faust is a key piece in Lynchburg's culture, a guy that is the definition of a gym rat, someone that every day you can find him in Turner putting in work. A man in his second season with the Hornets, played his first 2 seasons at Davidson-Davie Community College, where he was the Piedmont 2A Athletic Conference Player of the Year. Last year was second in the team in scoring. This year has taken a much more defensive-oriented approach. A guy that isn't someone who selfishly says, I need my shots. He plays his role and is the definition of the kind of guy that you want on your basketball team.
And he's the kind of guy we use those resources on our LHSN team. He does a lot of work for us on the other sports broadcast, and I know that knee has been giving him problems all year. This, I think it was just the way he hit the ground so hard on his back. Coach Scott's going to talk things over with the athletic trainer, get the diagnosis.
And that'll force Lynchburg to play a little bit smaller. It'll be Nellison, Brown, Hart, Young, and Gray. Interested to see who will be shooting these free throws.
Yeah, and if you're Lynchburg, you're already or should already be talking about your defensive coverage.
Yeah.
If and when Washington and Lee gets the ball back, you must know where number 1 A.J. Thomas is, but then also you are aware that Washington and Lee will have other three-point shooters available out there. And, of course, the situation's entirely different depending on if you're up 1, 2, or 3 for Lynchburg. Hart's going to shoot them.
A big stage, 1-1. In the last home game, Hart at the line missed 2 free throws that turned into a 3-pointer from Roanoke to win the game. Draws back iron. Jamarcus gets in the mix. Can't connect on the rebound. Washington and Lee comes away with it. 5.2 on the game clock.
The Generals avert some danger right there because, again, if Jamarcus Brown gets that rebound, the game's not instantly over, but it becomes very, very tough. With 5.2 seconds left, they should be able to advance to half court here. Everything's in play for Washington and Lee. You've got a series of plays that you like for these late game scenarios. And remember, it does not have to be a 3 now. A 2 wins it for the Generals. If you're Lynchburg, you have to have that awareness as well. And honestly, Joe, in these situations, some coaches will say, look, if you got to foul them hard, make them earn it on the free throw line with pressure on. That can be an extremely lonely place trying to win a game or tie a game from the charity line.
Lynchburg today has had their 4th highest free throw percentage this season, currently shooting 69.6%. It would be devastating to lose 2 games at home, back-to-back at the buzzer. At the Roanoke, at the Roanoke game here the last time in Turner Gymnasium, the Hornets led by 12 with 45 seconds. They led by 10 with 30 seconds. They lost at the buzzer on a corner 3. Here, a shot from the Generals can clinch a big road victory. This season, the Generals are 2-5 in ODAC affairs. On the road, they are 3-3 through their 16 games. And with 5.2, who do you leave the ball with? It's Ryan. Driving inside, working on Nellison, gets it up and in. Washington and Lee at the horn.
Wow, there is 0.1 on the clock. Coach Hillary Scott's going to take a timeout. My goodness, what a take. Shoots it over the 6'9" Van Nellison. Absolutely incredible. And the perfect timing. You leave Lynchburg with nothing. I mean, this is one for Lynchburg. You almost can't even do the Leitner and throw it to mid-court. You have to throw it all the way to the other rim and try to tip it in.
That will stay at 0.1 most likely, just based on the replay that we've just seen. You need 0.3 by rule to get a shot off. Anything under can only be good with a tip.
Yeah, man, absolutely devastating for Lynchburg. And you were just talking about the Roanoke loss, and that's a little different. They let a big lead slip away. This one was back and forth, but still no less crushing. I mean, this is going to be devastating to the Lynchburg psyche. Not over yet, mathematically, and by the clock is not over yet, but chances are very unlikely. Yeah, Washington and Lee's probably just going to put everybody in the paint. Chris McHugh is going to tell his guys just go straight up. Do not even think about touching a Lynchburg player. Let's see how they set up here. I mean, who's your best football, quarterback, baseball arm? I mean, that's what you need right here for Lynchburg. You've got to throw it all the way into the front court.
I mean, you've got a better chance of pulling a winning lottery ticket.
You could almost run the baseline and try to run into the throw to get some more momentum. It is after a made basket, if that makes sense. That's what Michael Gray's going to do.
Heaves it. Picked off, and the Generals walk away with a win at the buzzer. The hero, Colin Ryan, the product of collegiate high school out of Richmond, Virginia, over the outreached arms of Van Nellison, and it's heartbreak. Back-to-back at home for Lynchburg. They dropped their third consecutive game in Turner Gymnasium, their second straight at the Horn.
Not a true walk-off for Washington and Lee, but again, with just 0.1 on the board, it basically becomes that. Congratulations to the Generals. What an incredible basketball game. We saw so much great stuff, and if you have any kind of a heart, you have to feel for Lynchburg right here.
A.J. Thomas ends up as the leading scorer for the Generals with 23 points, shooting 6 of 10 from 3. He was a key cog in this comeback today for the Generals. Ryan finishes with 12. Amorosi with 14. Vegan with 12. And also Ryan had 4 fouls with 9 minutes to go in the second half, stays out of foul trouble, and walks off with a game win.
Well, again, you mentioned that when I wasn't even thinking about it. You mentioned it again. I mean, he played basically the entire last 9 minutes of the game with 4 fouls, and he just never had a drop-off in performance.
Meanwhile, for Lynchburg, Michael Gray leads the charge with 20 points on the afternoon. Van Nellison with a season-high 16 right behind him. That included 3 of 5 from deep.
Yeah, a little coming-out party for Van Nellison, huh?
And I would still say our player of the game for Lynchburg has got to be Hart. Finished with 11 rebounds, 12 assists. But it was not enough for the Hornets. And the Generals snatch up a key victory in Turner Gymnasium and continue to climb up the ODAC standings. Back-to-back wins for the Generals. That should do it for us here from Turner Gymnasium. Women's basketball will be back in action here in Wayne Prophet Court next Wednesday as they welcome the Roanoke Maroons. Men's basketball, I mentioned it, a 2-game road trip before coming back February 5th in a Code Red affair against the Randolph Wildcats. That should do it. Joe Brennan, Kyle Haney, a big thank you to everybody in our production room holding things down for us. Until next time, have a good one.